Most of us are trying to grasp something permanent, and then we want to stake our territory and we want to defend it. This is mine. This is who I am. This is reality. This is how it works. Seems kind of exciting sometimes for a little while until you maybe start to feel nauseous and exhausted. You ever feel that way? I mean, I would expect if you're really honest, then you would say yes. Because it's so exhausting to try and do the impossible. And for what? What do you want to grasp it for anyway? I'm serious about that. Think about it. What do you want to grasp it for? What are you going to get out of it? You're going to get what? Fortify the defenses, give you a sense of safety. Look at me, nothing can get through. I'm absolutely fortified. Nothing can hurt me forever and ever. But it's a lie, isn't it? I mean, something's always going to get through. And you put so much effort into trying to make sure that nothing gets through. And what's the point? You just end up exhausted and nauseated. And, depressed and frustrated and disappointed and discouraged and anxious and all the rest. So really contemplate that for a moment. What do you hope to get out of all of it? I mean, some of you, when you actually ask that question, you'll maybe realize you've never asked that question before. What do I really hope to get out of this? You've never thought to ask that before. So you've just been on autopilot, as it were, just like a robot reacting passionately, but nonetheless robotically. And so to actually sincerely ask that question is to be awake for the first time, maybe, to actually realize that none of this is what you thought it was, that you're not what you thought you were, that you are infinitely freer than you thought. And that might be terrifying. So I'm not suggesting it will necessarily be nice. You could experience that in any number of ways. Some people will experience that in a very wonderful way, and some people will experience it in a terrifying way. So there's no limits to that. But that's one possibility. Is you might realize you'd never asked that question before, and some others of you will realize that you have asked that question before, and then you might have answers to that question. And and if you have answers to the question, then actually just ask the question. So here's the thing: is the point of asking the question is not to have an answer. The point of asking the question is to prompt the looking. So to actually look sincerely. That's what's actually on offer. So many times we think we want the answers, but we haven't actually offered ourselves the questions. So what is it that you really are hoping to get out of this? Might be surprising to discover the things that you've been thinking you wanted, the things that have been driving you, comfort, sense of security, maybe a sense of pride, accomplishment, validation. A lot of time, these small, petty kinds of things, really, if we tell the truth. And then we wonder why we feel imprisoned. Well, there you go. You're imprisoned by your own prison of pettiness. Build a small world. These are my ambitions. I seek security. I seek validation. I seek approval. I seek to be right. It's a pretty good recipe for living a small, unfulfilling life. So then you might ask yourself, well, is there a possibility that maybe I was mistaken about what I really want? I mean, again, if you've ever been mistaken about anything, you could be mistaken about this. So it's worth sincerely investigating. Now, some people will say, I want God. I want, liberation. I want, okay, fine. So you go from really small to really big, but it's still conceptual, isn't it? How about, you know, actually staying with the question? The question was dangerous, isn't it? People don't like to stay with the question. But the question is, think about how powerful a question is, because the answer, in contrast, the answer just shuts it all down. On the one hand, might give you a temporary false sense of relief, like, oh, okay, finally, I have an answer. Now I can move on to what? I don't know. Now I can move on to the next thing on YouTube. Now I can go watch some videos of cats doing funny things. That's very early 2000s. I know. I'm way out of touch. I don't know what people watch these days. It's all on TikTok, which I refuse to participate in. Um, but if you're looking for the answer, then you're going to keep coming up dissatisfied with your life. So right now, the invitation is to stay with the question and notice that the question is wide open. Ah, it's a different kind of relief, a relief of not having to know. So the false relief of knowing is a way of, it's like a narcotic. Okay, now I can go to sleep. I finally know the answer. Now I can go to sleep. But to stay with the question is a relief because it gives you permission to stay awake, to not knowing. So what is it that you really want? Wow, so many possibilities, infinite possibilities.